Well, I don't know what to say. Today is the surreal world, which you'll understand when we get into it. I'm going to dive right into it because I have a lot to cover, and so let's go right into share screen. And if you are proficient with Microsoft Office and so forth, could I do this easier in PowerPoint? The answer is yes. Absolutely, I can do this easier in PowerPoint, but I'm not. So just deal with it. I woke up this morning to the sound of military jets going overhead at 5 a.m. and I realized that's not a good thing. And so I immediately go on and I'm checking flight radar and yeah, everything's going on right above my head. And so I take Cujo for a long walk and I'm monitoring what's going on there while walking Cujo. And so just what you're seeing here, all this activity right here, this is above my head. Okay. And so then I make a post about DJ's Aviation is something I've followed forever. Great follow if you're in the aviation world. And he posts about the fact that Dubai has closed its airspace and Dubai Airport has closed its airspace. And I then posted below that, yes, they've had to divert flights to DWC, which is the new airport, newish. It's been around for a long time, but it's where they eventually want to move traffic to. But there was a flight from Japan that was diverted from DXB, the main airport of Dubai, got diverted to DWC because basically a strike hit the Dubai airport. Okay, so I posted about this. And then what made it the surreal world was the fact that over the next couple of hours, two different friends send me messages about, have you heard that they're now diverting flights from Dubai Airport to Dubai World Central? And to one of them, I said, will you just check the source on this? And she got back to me and she said, oh, because I was the source. So she's informing me of something that I was the source. And it's like, okay, that's the surreal world. So I'm not going to talk much more about this because by the time you see this video, this will be perhaps the headline news. If you just find any story about Dubai Airport getting attacked, you're going to see better footage. There's a lot of footage out there right now that I could share, but I'm not going to because by the time you see this, you're going to see better footage. Anyhow, moving on. A few more things I want to talk about before getting to where I turn this off. I love this quote of the day from Pete Buttigieg. He says, I think President Trump thought he could get a better deal than the Obama administration did. He failed to get a better deal, and he went off and launched a war without planning." Yep, Pete, you're my ride or die because you got that right. And of course, President Trump had to be Trump and did the really, I'm demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory because it's their territory. You could make the case that maybe we shouldn't be there at all because we don't need it. We have a lot of oil. So I guess the President of the United States is saying, why did I even get into this war in the first place? What a fracking genius. Um, a few other things that are just I find humorous, and so you're getting me what I do on social media here. They found a whole bunch of opium bricks, and so I posted. I like to mock by pretending to be kind of doing a Stephen Colbert from his show he did before the Late Show, and so I wrote. As we found out about this cocaine coming in from Canada, thank God President Trump went after our horrible neighbors to the north. Who do they think they are? Feeding our drug addiction should be seen as an act of war. Attack them next, dear leader, USA. Uh, and for what I'm gonna last end on this before going back to where you just see me is this is an oddly positive thing. Again, I cannot explain what's going on with Cecile because at this moment, I do not know. I'm not lying. I do not know. What I do know is that being the pack rat that she has stored up all of these boxes worth of stuff to be sent to her house. And what I find remarkable about this, I mean, it's just an insane amount of stuff here if you look at it. The total cost to ship all of this by boat to the Philippines. So Cecile and her sisters buy all these things that you can buy cheaper in this country and then send them to the send them to the Philippines. And we're talking things that you and I would never even think about, like a whole bunch of perfumes and colognes. Just they're much cheaper here. Her mom, their mom loves to cook with olive oil, way cheaper here. And so, like, one of those boxes is nothing but olive oil, just because it's that much cheaper here. It's not violating any customs. There's nothing illegal about it. They're just shipping off stuff. Total cost for everything that all these boxes, it's 1,300 dirhams, which is the equivalent of $350. And that just blows me away. So this is, I guess, my good news of the day because all this stuff is going to the Philippines and Cecile's family will have it for just $350. And I want to turn off the share, stop share. And so now you've just got me. And what I want to talk about, again, there's so much news going on that I'm not going to talk about the main news going on. Like by the time you hear this, there's a decent chance the United States will have already attacked Karg Island, the main port that Iran uses for shipping out oil. Trump's been that's what all eyes are on that right now. The price of oil, as I'm sharing this right now, went West Texas Intermediate, it's $104. But by the time you see this, it's going to be different because there's going to be enough news that happens between now and the time you see this that for me to talk anything more about that is ridiculous because it's going to change. So I'm going to talk about a few more topics that you may or may not be aware of. Okay. So the first is what's referred to as the insurgent math. Back in Gulf War, back when the Gulf War that we had taking out Iraq, they did a calculation, the Department of Defense did. They did a calculation that for every insurgent they killed, 10, the initial estimate was for every insurgent they killed, they created 10 more insurgents who were motivated by the death of the one who died. Later, that got revised to 20. So for every one killed, 20 were created. Okay? Keep that in mind. Why that's relevant today. Over the weekend, there was an attack at a synagogue in Michigan. A Lebanese American did the attack, and it turns out that his brother had been killed by Hezbollah. His brother was part of Hezbollah in Lebanon and was killed by the Israeli forces. So that attack, which fortunately nobody died in the attack in Michigan, but that attack was motivated because Israel killed his brother. And so he's like, you kill my brother, I'm willing to attack anywhere I can. So congratulations, Israel. You created at least one terrorist in America. And congratulations, President Trump. You've created sleeper cells all around the world that we don't even know about yet. Congratulations. Um, oh, last topic, which again, you may or may not have heard of, but it definitely is something that should get in the news at some point. The Secretary of War, technically Secretary of Defense, because Congress has not approved changing the name to Secretary of War, but he committed a war crime over the weekend because, give me a second. He committed a war crime because he said in a press conference that he would give no quarter to the enemy. Quarter means in the military, quarter, of course, means where you live in your quarters. When you say that you'll give no quarter, that goes against US law, it goes against international law. And so just by saying that the United States will give no quarter, he is placing the United States as violating international law. I don't even know where to begin with this. It's bad enough we have a mad president, and I feel like everybody, and I watched Christopher Wray on the talk shows yesterday as he talked. He just, US is going to be fine when it comes to oil. There's going to be no issue. US is fine, blah, 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 whatever. I feel like we are in some bizarro world where it is people cosplaying parts. There's nothing about that's happened this weekend that if it was written into a script that it could have passed. No one in Hollywood would make this movie because it's just not. It'd be laughed out of the room. But truth is stranger than fiction. There's enough going on. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I'm very happy, I guess, that I'm safe here. No other news. Talk to you tomorrow.